in prison, you said you felt like yourself and a lot of other inmates were fatherless men, and that had a lot to do with why a lot of you ended up there, just misguided or fatherless men. So you talked a lot about your father and the impression that he left on your life, and the relationship you had with him. Can you talk a little bit more about your dad and how that contributed to you going down the path you went down?
Yes, my father had a great relationship. I remember the day, 8 years old, he came pick me up. He was in a Seville. He had a chauffeur. And the chauffeur gets out, open the door for him. He gets out. I'm on my grandfather's house on East 4th Street, George Cole. He come on the porch, and we talk, and then we drive off in the Seville. He took me where Aaron Sanders, at the time it's Aaron Sanders now, at the time it was called the GQ. A guy named Glenn Roby was a game room. Glenn Roby owned it. So I met some of his friends, went around town meeting his friends, and after that he dropped me off, said our goodbyes, and 3 days later, his father was found in his home dead, execution style, with his friend. We went down to Detroit, went to the funeral, and I discovered, during my father time living in Detroit, he worked, but he was a drug dealer. And my father's death, it really touched me. It bothered me. When I found out he was a drug dealer, I was intrigued. I wanted to keep his legacy alive. And so at age of 15, I was in the Rendezvous, which is Bruh's barbershop today. In there, I was chill at the age. I was more mature for my age at that age. And a guy come in with another guy and asked me a question. Want to play pool? I'm like, nah, I don't play games. So as time went on, them two started playing pool. Then he said, hey, man, I see I'm irritating you. I want to bother you. Where can I get something to eat at? I said, man, leave out of here, go to your right, go to the lights, take a bus to left. And I said, you'll see Hardee's on your right side. You get down a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Before he left, he said, I'm not from here, I'm from Chicago. I play football for you and I. This is more my stomping grounds, this side of town. He said, why don't you take my number? And, I took his number. So the next day I went to his house. And when I went to his house in Cedar Falls on College Hill, I go inside his friends, they at the time, on the floor with guns. And I'm like, my heart started racing. What'd I get into? So they called his name. At this time, his name is Marcus. So I went down in the basement. We got to talking. And that was the day at 15 I was introduced to the drug game. The first time in my life I ever seen a kilo. I hear about it, 36 ounces. We chopped it up, how we gonna run this operation. And at that time, I was always taught by my father at a young age, and from people, never take fronts. Because if you can't pay for it, that'll put you in big major trouble. So always work hard for it and get it and let it be yours. So time went on. I ended up with him. We ended up, flooding the city with drugs and things like that. That's kind of happened with that. And I want to say this to those who are listening. Go back to my situation when I was robbed.
Mm-hmm.
In that situation, my father, who was a drug dealer, I wanted to be like him, and that's what led me to become a drug dealer. But I want to tell you, be careful you choose a role model, because what happened to that person could happen to you or worse. See, my father, he lost his life as a drug dealer. I was put in a situation where could have lost my life, but God allowed me to lose my life. He gave me another chance at life. That's what I want people to know. Be careful you choose a role model.
Definitely. And it's hard to distinguish that, when you have a parent or someone you look up to, y'all have a positive relationship. You didn't necessarily know that your dad was doing anything wrong.
No.
As a child.
Didn't know. I'm going to tell you though, when my father passed, my stepfather tried to step in and be a father figure.
Right.
My uncles, but it wasn't like I had my biological father.
Right.
It was a void in my heart that was missing.
For sure.
It's like a married couple, spouse become their better other half. My dad was my everything.
Yeah.
He was my centerpiece of life, and he meant a lot to me. And I became rebellious, toward my mom and getting into them streets, which, led me to prison. My rebellious, my anger, like I said, led me to prison. And while I was in prison, I started an organization. I left Fort Madison in 2010 and I went to Fort Dodge Prison, correctional facility in 2010. Went down there with the mind setting because I, at that time in prison, was going to church. I had great mentors. I didn't know how to be a man, and I realized you don't know how to be a man until you first meet a man. I become a grown man. I started maturing in everything I wanted to do. I started gearing up and started the process there. And when I got to Fort Dodge, I wanted to start a program. And the program, I met this man down there named Twig Gardner. He was already down there, and he knew security director. And I told him what I wanted to do. He led me to security director. Me and the security director, we talked. He loved my program, and it's called the Leaders Program. And I was learning and power. Well, I ended up with the program. I ran the program for about 8 years down there. It was a great program. And while the program it was for, a lot of people called it like FUBU. It's for us, by us. And we come in as men, we talk about our life, what led us here. And I asked some tough questions, about life. And while I was in there one day, fatherhood subject came up. And they talked about the dad, disappointment, abandonment, and this. Let everybody say what they're going to say. I heard them out. What do you think? I said, I said, I'm going to tell you what our father was teaching us when they abandoned us. But we were so angry by them leaving that we couldn't get the message. I said, they was teaching us not to be like them. And I said, think about it. We became just like the same people that we despise. The ones that left us, intentionally, we left our children. We left them behind in the streets to be without a father. So we are just like the same people. Even though you wasn't doing it intentionally like your father did, but you still abandoned your children by leaving them out there. And so they realized, man, I didn't see it that way. Sometimes it's the way you put something, or you got to convey it in a way that's eye-opener.
Definitely.
And so that was an eye-opener for the men.
So it sounds like from everything that you told me and just different things that I've heard about before you went away, you have like a natural leader qualities.
I did.
And now you're able to do those things here on the outside.
You're right about leadership quality. My dad had that. And I was so much like him. And in the short time I spent with him, his sisters and brothers knew him more than I did.
Yeah.
And they used to remind me. I put up one day, my auntie said, "You just like your dad." So I'm like, what do you mean that? I knew him, but didn't know him as great like that. But I realized it's that bloodline. Even though I didn't see him do some things, I'm gonna do some things he did that I never seen did, because it's that tree, that bloodline.
Right.
So yeah.
For anyone who's listening, like, what can you tell them as far as just staying away from the streets? Because there are still people who think, I can get around it, or, there's still a science to it that I got, and I can do this and I can get by and I'm not going to get caught.
Well, you got to understand, a lot of people, that's delusionalness. A lot of people think like that. The universe, what you give to is what you're going to get back. When it's your time, no matter what you do, everything has an expiration date. Food, the things that you're doing right or wrong. But I advise people that want to get into the game, it's not cracked up like what it seems. People tell you about when they riding high, all the good stuff they get, but they don't tell you about when they step into the belly of the beast that you could die there. And they don't tell you about the cold nights, lonely nights, the pain and suffering nights where your children's going through something. Your mom might be passing away and you can't go home to the funeral because you got too much time in your hand. You're a flight risk. They don't tell you about the things that the ones you love, you can't be there for to help them. These are the pain and suffering when you go through when you're in the belly of the beast. Prison is like a womb. You can die there. You can become stillborn. And that was one of my fears that I asked God, don't allow me to die here. Don't let my mom pass away. Don't let my happen to nobody that I love, my children. Allow me to make it out of here. And I was fortunate enough, and I did. But I realized in prison, as I became a man there, I refused to go back out the same way I came in. Mm-hmm. But the only way I was able to mature and become strong as hell, wise as hell, smart as hell, and step out in this dangerous world and become successful as hell, the only way I was to do that is because God allowed those wounds that opened on the streets while I came in prison. He allowed them to be reopened. See, the wounds that on the streets that I had to come across, accumulated, they healed only on the outside surface.
Right.
But in prison, God allowed them wounds to be broken open and allowed them to heal from within.
Right.
Without.
Right.
So that was so much growth and maturity that he allowed me to come out of there a totally different person, mentally, physically.
Definitely.
And a lot of people got to understand that it's more to prison than just doing time.
Mm-hmm.
It's your mental you have to deal with. And I've been through so much. Doing time was easier for me because I knew how it was to be alone. Because on the streets I was a loner.
Yeah.
But everybody, it's not me. Everybody ain't took the scars and the bruises and become like iron sharpens iron, become a type of person I had become. Just follow the path and choose a purpose that's fulfilling to you. That's gonna bring peace, prosperity, happiness to you, without allowing you to be able to walk into a situation, which is prison, or be engraved in the graveyard at an early age because you wanna please the people. The people don't care about you when you're gone.
Right.
Streets was use you while you're here and swallow you up while you're gone. When I was out here, the person that I was the person I designed myself to be. While in prison through my transition, the second part of that is the real me was in the shadow waiting to come out.
Right.
So while I was in prison getting seasoned to be me, the shadow came out. And now I'm out. Totally different person I was when I went in.
And what does that look like for you? Just, not on a super personal level, but you're out. You're the true you. What does that look like?
Peace, clarity, executing my goals. I'm gonna say this real quick. When I told the parole board, I gave them my goals and everything I put on paper. After doing 20 years, you got to see the parole board.
Mm-hmm.
They liked in my game plan that they did not even see me. They gave me a release. And at the end of them goals, you know what I put the acronym for goals? Getting out and living successfully. And that was the plan that I had, a successful plan. So I step out of here in Waterloo, January 9th of 2023. When I come into the city over there by the old skating ring, I said to myself, it looks different. And it was a gloomy day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what I'm walking into? I didn't even want to come back to Waterloo.
Right.
Not the fear of no one doing anything to me. I knew the victims in my case. I wanted to clean up the mess that I made. And I was very sincere about making peace with my victim. So I believed that while I was away, they had peace.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to make sure they kept that peace because I was a totally different person. And God seen it differently. Even though I didn't want to come here, he allowed me to come here to clean the mess up that I made. Sure. In front of the same people that I made the mess in front of, that looked at me and frowned upon me. The quality of life I live as a human being, he wanted to show them and turn their frowns into smiles and claps to see that this right here, my son, who I saved and spared by putting him in the safest place there was on earth, was prison. Look what he became, a masterpiece by me working in him and he allowing me to work in him. Only way I was going to change, only way I was going to become better. I had to come on to God and become one with him.
Right.
And I did that. Stepped out of here, started executing my plan out the door. Went to the halfway house. I didn't come out here hitting the ground running. See, you're running, you move too fast, you can't catch everything.
Right.
I came out here walking, tilling the land, observing, listening, and respecting society, life, and people in it. So I can get the knowledge and information I need to help me lay down and put forth the goals that I have set. So I've been home 2 years in 2 months. I have a janitorial business. I have a vending business I'm dealing with at my job. I have a clothing line called Real Life. I have it on right now. Right, and I have another clothing line called True to Self.
Yes.
Real Life, recognize everybody ain't loyal. Loyalty isn't for everyone. And what brought forth my clothing line was the pain and suffering. What name I'm gonna call this? Call it what you've been through. Real life. All your trials and tribulations and your pain. Because real life is everything that you've been through. That's real life.
Yes.
I'm blessed. I got 2 books in Amazon and Barnes & Nobles called Effects of Being a Game, based on a true story behind my cousin, Chia Will, and my family legacy. I'm the one that introduced my family to the game because of my plug. And I thought about everything I have done. I have poisoned my community with pushing kilos of cocaine through here back in my heydays. And I was in prison and I started crying. I was watching the TV infomercial and the kid was eating mud, walking in garbage. You know where them tears came from? The spirit inside of me saying, that child right there did nothing. And he's in poverty, in prison, mentally.
Right.
You did all this. And you're in physical prison, but you're not mentally in prison. You got a second opportunity.
Yes.
And I thought about how people that I fed that poison to, because of their drug habit, allow them to not be able to give their kids food, clothing, and shelter. Allow them at Christmas time to steal from them and take toys back they want to give them to support their habit.
Right.
And I asked myself, say that was the mother of my children.
Right.
How would I feel?
Yeah.
These are moments that I had in prison where God was opening my eyes. And he was giving me a new heart. And I see a new heart, meaning mine was hardened because everything I've been through.
Right.
So I'm blessed.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful and grateful that I'm here, that I made it out. I made it home. I'm here showing people that I am authentic. I'm real. I am who I say I am. I have changed and I'm standing on it. There's no going back. I want to say 2 words. After everything I've been through, all I have to say is this. Still here.
Still here.
Still here.
Yes. Absolutely.
Still here.
In the flesh, looking well.
Yes.
Your whole aura is, it's great.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I don't want to forget to ask you something. Within all of the other blessings that you've had, it seems like you've had the chance to just come full circle with a lot of things and just have different chances that some people don't get. One of them, I know you mentioned that you were able to make peace with one of your victims.
Yes, I
that
was.
you hurt, and you know that has to contribute to you having a better mindset and clarity. So how can you tell us how that went?
Yes. While I was in prison, I was asking the staff there to see if I could make amends and build bridges with this man. Give him what I can. Only thing I can give him is my sincere apology. It wouldn't happen there. So I came home. I brought it up to my PO, which is I was sincere about it. And one day I was talking to an individual, and they, oh, your victim just left here, you know. And I said, man, I really like to talk to this guy, man. So, you know, they called him up on the phone. And we had a talk. I gave my sincere apology. He accepted it. And he told me how he felt years ago. He said, I wouldn't accept it. I hated you years ago. But I see since you've been home, I've been hearing about you doing good things, that you're really sincere. You changed your life. You came home a gift, not a curse. And the only reason, so we made peace. We both cried. And it was a moment that was necessary, both needed in both our behalves. See, I learned about crying. It's not a bad thing.
No.
You know what it is? Crying shows growth.
Cleanses you.
Think about when it rains on the earth, the grass grow. So when the tears come from your eye, you grow eternal. You understand where I'm coming from?
Definitely.
So it's a blessing. We both needed that growth.
Yeah.
On that side, a realm of spectrum of our life. And it was given. And I thank God for everything. I really do. You know, and people have been great to me since I've been home. You know, doors have been open for me. Just abundance of blessings been pouring down to me. And when I got to the halfway house, people that I knew came to see me that I wasn't friends with, associates with, but they respect me in the game and asking me, you need anything? You know, I'm here for you. You know, that just lets you know how character will get you a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole thing, Muhammad, to be honest with you, my life, what it is today, is because I made the decision first to choose God as my Lord and Savior. And I traded in money and material things for life and liberty. When you do that, you're living.
Right.
I don't have to go back to selling drugs.
Right.
When I was away, prison was an asset, not a liability.
Okay.
Because I didn't get caught up in the web of where I was. I knew where I was and what I had to do and what I wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I started working on it. And look at me today. Live. Here in the flesh. Could have been in the federal system. Doing life. Could have been in the graveyard. When I was during my robbery. But God didn't allow that to happen. He spared me. Could have had 110 years. Could have died in prison. Who makes out of prison at 101 years old? People only barely live to see 70.
Right.
That didn't happen. God allowed everything to happen to shape and mold my life so I can be presidential as a human being.
Yes.
To be better, do better. To share my testimony with people, let them know that you can turn your mess into fertilizer. Be like a farmer, like I said, till the land and plant that seed and watch it germinate. And that's what I did. The seed of change, the seed of success, the seed of choice, the seed of prosperity. Because now today in life, my motto is prosperity over popularity, meaning I ain't doing it for people.
Yeah.
I'm doing this for God.
Right. I love it. I love it for you.
I'm going to end this with this.
Okay.
I give all praise and honor to God, my Lord and Savior, to those who have supported me since I've been home and also supported me while I was away. And I want to say this for every man out there. Choice is a powerful word. Don't be pressured to do things that's against your nature, against influence that's not going to give you positive influence because of someone love you. And always listen to someone love you because they'll never stir you or lead you down a path that will destruct you or destroy you. So I'm going to say this at the end. Get on your shit. Stay on your shit. Stay out of shit. And don't tell nobody shit. And watch how blessed you be and put God first. And lean out on your understanding. Watch how God make your path straight.
I love it. Thank you, Elmo.
Thank you for having me. It's a blessing and honor.
Yes.
I didn't do too much, did I?
Yeah.
You good, Papa.